happy you're with us for the Retirement Education Hour. Welcome, everyone. I'm Megan Mozak, back in the studio today with financial instructors Kurt Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. We have a great program lined up for you today. We focus on retirement planning, making sure you're educated to enter this next phase of life with confidence and excitement. Let's face it, you've worked hard for your retirement. We want to make sure that your money works for you. And that takes a lot of know-how. It takes a lot of insight. And throughout the program, not only will we give that to you, but we'll be sharing with you how you can gain even more education and insight at the Retirement Education Foundation's courses on retirement planning. And these are held at major universities and colleges in your community. These are like master's level courses on retirement planning, and we'll tell you how to get registered. I want to remind you that this very program and a library of our programs available wherever you find your podcasts. Simply search for the name of the show, Retirement Education Hour. Today, we're going to focus on information, knowledge, and ignorance. And boy, when it comes to retirement planning, ignorance is not bliss. You know, Kirk and Paul, we hear a lot. People say, well, you don't know what you don't know. But at the end of the day, that's dangerous when we're walking into retirement. Tell us why.
So, Paul, I love the Albert Einstein quote, which I'll have you share in a minute. But what Megan said, there's a difference between information and knowledge. A lot of people have information. In fact, I would argue most of the people in the financial service business, in the industry itself, that are providing particularly advice and services around retirement, they all have a lot of information, and they love to share that information. Go ahead and, like you are now, go listen to other radio shows and TV shows and the free dinner seminars where they're serving you a meal so they can sell you an annuity at the end, right? They all have information to share. The facts are, and we know this to be true, that very few of them have real knowledge to provide the help based around the information that they are sharing, which I know that's a little convoluted, but that's where you guys get in trouble. Honestly, that is where and why we started this charity over a decade ago. Remember, we are a national charity providing advanced retirement planning education, typically in universities, sometimes colleges, and they are 8-hour courses, almost master-level courses with, I won't say unbiased, we have biases, but we use real data and real knowledge, not just the information. We teach you the tax code. We teach you the math that really produces the best outcome. The purpose of the class, the purpose of this show today particularly, will be to help you to almost like open your eyes to the amount of information you have and you are aware of, but how limited your real knowledge is. And that's how you are so easily sold by people in our business. Paul, did I do that okay?
You did it great. You referenced Albert Einstein. I love, he said, information is not knowledgeable, right? There's a lot of people who have a lot of information, right? We can Google anything and everything, but there's a difference between having information and being knowledgeable, which is all about experience and understanding and how to use your experience, right? So, we Google everything, right? I recently had an eye issue, and I decided to Google what the problem was, okay? At the end of the day, I learned a lot of things that it could be. Obviously, I did not think that I could do my own surgery on my eye or prescribe the right medication, right?
Knowledge. Or definitively know what it was,
and
for sure.
It turned out, what I read was wrong anyways. I ended up going to the doctor. He's like, no, the nuances of knowledge is so much more than having information. You're exactly right.
And that's the whole point of the class. That's why it's 8 hours in length. It's really advanced. I'm telling you, it is not designed for that under, $700,000 investable assets. This course is designed for that $700 to $20 million families. These are advanced tax codes, income planning, how and when I can retire, and is the people that I'm looking to help, are they really providing the services they should be providing me? If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Kirk, just to be clear, I want to make sure the listeners are not misunderstanding this. We are not saying that information is bad. In fact, that's why we teach the class, right? information is really important. Information will arm you with making good decisions. But there is a difference between having information and knowledge. So just because you come to a class, just because you Google something, just because you read a book, doesn't make you knowledgeable. We're going to talk about all the things that the class addresses, the information that will help you become a better consumer. But don't mistaken, just because we're telling you this is information you're going to learn, that's going to make you an expert. That's going to give you knowledge.
Well, yes, I'm stuttering because I totally agree with you. You will come away from this course with a lot more information, but I think more importantly from the class, from the charity, and you can go to our website. We have webinars, white papers, a sample of what a real retirement plan looks like, which took and should take anyone that's helping you 50 to 100 hours to build your specific retirement plan. What you will walk away from the class with, Paul, is the knowledge to know is the person that is the teams that I'm interviewing, that I'm trying to hire, do they have the knowledge to produce the outcomes that they share in their information? Does that make sense? So when they have their dinner seminars or when they're on the radio, everyone's talking about tax planning and Roth conversion and income planning and Social Security. Everyone talks about it. Everyone says they do it. You've got people on TV, famous money managers that are now really marketing companies saying, I'd rather die and go to hell than own an annuity. And the third largest division of his company is the annuity division. So you need the filter. The point of the class is a filter to know, is this really the people that I'm going to hire? Do they have the knowledge, and are they really executing this stuff? Or are they just talking about this stuff, pretending like they know this stuff, and you don't get any of that stuff? So Paul, it's really important, and I hope I don't understand why people listen to our shows regularly and they do not go to an 8-hour course. We have people from all over the country listening to our podcasts. We have people that stream into our courses at the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, Columbia College, and we stream them live. So wherever you're at, you can attend. 8 hours. You need this course. All we ask is a $29 donation to charity so we can continue to teach the next 10,000 people this information so they can retire earlier, spend more money, and have less stress in retirement and pay less taxes. Register at retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. Thanks for listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Be sure to follow or subscribe when listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now, back to the show.
As we're talking about information versus knowledge, experts are out there. We see them all over the place, Kirk and Paul, especially on these financial fronts. You're telling me that these experts, by and large, they don't know what they're talking about?
So that's a perfect question, because I'm not saying they don't know what they're talking about. What I'm saying is they know the information, right? I can't tell you over the last 5+ years, since over the last 10 years, what's really interesting, and I'm struggling to communicate right now, so I apologize. But what's interesting is we look at the logs of people who are pulling down our white papers from the charity's website, watching our webinars. We see we're able to identify who's listening to our podcasts. The amount of people that are in the financial service industry taking that information and repurposing it and recreating it. So every time I listen to a radio show, a financial radio show, or watch a financial webinar in the industry, it's almost like they have echoed our exact messaging. And so that makes it very difficult for the consumer, because they hear the experts out there saying that they do these things, and these things are important, and look how knowledgeable we are because I have this information. But the difference is, do they have the knowledge and or willingness to execute what they are informing you of? Right? So I will tell you they don't. I know that factually, the majority of people in our industry, all they're doing is investing your money, pretending like they have a better way to manage your money, and no one has a better way of managing money. Just buy the index. There's no secret sauce. Very few people are really doing advanced tax planning. They've bought software that gives them a couple calculations that they'll do a free analysis for you that maybe has you doing some Roth converting, filling brackets, but not minimizing your taxes over your lifetime. So the problem for the consumer is you're hearing all the right things. You think they're doing all the right things, but you aren't knowledgeable enough to know if they are doing the right things. You don't have that filter. That is the entire purpose of the almost master level 8-hour course of the charity. I mean, we are a charity, folks. That's our job, is to educate you so that you can go find the right teams to help you, so you have those filters. And oh, by the way, don't think you're going to read something and be able to do it yourself, because you cannot, that $1 to $20 million family, execute the best, most efficient retirement plan for yourselves. You can't. What you're going to do is, all of you are going to end up with, without this class, I'm telling you, without this class, you will end up living on your 3 or 4% withdrawal rates. Way underspending what you otherwise could and should be spending. Most of you will die with 80% of the wealth you have right now when you die. For most of you, that's not what you would like to do. You'd like to spend some of that money, but you don't, because there's no incentive for anyone to teach you how to spend your money. Because the more money you spend, the less money the financial people make. You will pay more taxes, because no one really projects out 25 years of taxes and then finds and runs iterations modeling different filling brackets, bumping brackets, when to take money from my IRAs, my Roths, my non-qualified monies, my pensions, my lump sums, my Social Securities. No one's mapping that out for 25 years. They do it for a couple of years, but not 25 years to give you the most efficient path. So you're going to pay more taxes, you're going to spend less money, you're going to work longer, and you're going to change your spending patterns every time there's a bad market event. Because that's what they're going to tell you to do. They're going to tell you to protect your principal, and when things get bad, back down, spend less. That's crazy. You don't have to do any of those things if you have the knowledge to find the right teams. That's what the class is about, is the knowledge to find the right teams to help you, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk, I think every profession has a struggle. I mean, I was just thinking as you're talking, my previous profession is psychologist, right? So, you can Google, right, psychologists who treat depression, for example. Everybody says they do it, but very few people do it well. And as a consumer, it's really hard to know, okay, when I Google and I try to find someone to do this and everyone says they do it, how do I really know if they're doing it or not? How do I really know they're good at what they say that they do? And it's very hard for the listeners to know this. The one section in the class that I think may be the best section of all, maybe, is the last section, which we actually talk about, okay, consumer, how do you find that right person? And we sort of walk through all the things they should look for, the things they should be aware of, things they should be concerned about, the things that should make them run, and the things that should the things they should look for to hire somebody. I think that's really valuable, because as a consumer, we just don't know often what to do and how to pick that right professional. And I think it's a struggle for people, and I think that's one of the values of the class.
Paul, I think you nailed it, right? I mean, that it's the filter. The class provides you the filter, because you'll now have the knowledge of knowing what levers really matter and what things that they should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And you'll be able to quantify that and screen people to see if they're actually doing those things for you. I will tell you, and I will guarantee this on the radio right now, and we have people all over the country that listen. We'll make a $2,000 donation to any charity you want if you attend this 8-hour class and you don't leave there being able to spend more money in retirement, pay less taxes, have less fear in retirement. That's why it's really important to attend this almost master's level course, 8 hours, 2 evenings, or 1 full Saturday. Just attend. Register at retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. Listening from outside Michigan or Missouri? We stream courses live from the university so you can attend anywhere in the country. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org to sign up. And now back to the show.
I know one of the topics that comes up often at these courses is taxes in retirement. And boy, there's no lack of people out there in the financial industry telling you you should plan for taxes in retirement and that they do tax planning in retirement. But at the end of the day, What say you, Kirk and Paul? Are they really providing that service to the soon-to-be retiree?
This is a great example. I mean, over the last 3 years, it's remarkable how many people in our business are now experts on taxes, right? So again, we're a charity. Part of the charity, we have CPAs that are instructors. We happen to also have our own private practice where we own a CPA practice and we employ CPA. So having information around taxes and saying on the radio, TV, and dinners and in their dinner seminars and promoting that they do tax planning and tax efficient investment plan. There is such a difference between comprehensive tax planning versus just making sure we're not buying the wrong investments triggering taxable events. Very different, right? Because remember, retirement is about income planning. It's about distributing your wealth. It means you've got this big old pile of money in all these different accounts, different tax registrations, different situations between pensions and Social Securities. They're all different from a tax perspective. And your job is to take the money out, and really it is your responsibility to pay as little taxes as possible so your money lasts as long as possible. That's what it comes down to. The less taxes you pay, the earlier you can retire and or the longer your money will last. I'm telling all of our listeners, if you find the right team that is really projecting out 25, 30 years of taxes in retirement and then remodeling, running hundreds of iterations of trying different timing of taking money from different sources in different times, filling brackets, not bumping brackets. By the way, Social Security, when do you take Social Security? It's a tax problem. Your calculators online are useless. The calculators your advisors use are silly. It means nothing because the Social Security impacts the taxation on your dividends, your capital gains. It impacts your taxes on required minimum distributions across the board. They are all interconnected. So someone has to spend the tens of 20s of 30s of hours running the iterations to find the most tax efficient path. And if you do, many of you listeners are going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And once you get north of $3, $4, $5 million of savings for retirement, we're talking in many cases millions of dollars of tax savings for you, your surviving spouse. Remember, it's not just you. If you're married, it's then the surviving spouse. And then sometimes if there's going to be something left at the end for the kids. Tax planning, it's one thing to have information and everyone's got this information and everyone's promoting it, but to have the knowledge. And none of you listeners, even CPAs, I hate to tell you, and CFOs for Fortune 500 companies that attend our classes all the time, understand this phase of the life and how to project out that 25, 30 years and find the most efficient path. I'm telling you, whether it's using charitable strategies, donor advised funds, qualified charitable distributions, where you get more tax savings than you actually give to charity over your lifetime because you know when and how to do it, when to recognize your capital gains, how to manage Medicare, because it's means tested. It's all interconnected. And Paul, that's what the class teaches, right? It teaches you all these different levers so you can filter out who's really doing that planning or who's just giving the next 10 callers a free tax analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I think the devil's in the details. I think that's what makes all of this so challenging, right? Because as you said, you listen to the radio today and everyone's talking about tax planning. Everyone's talking about, it's important to do tax planning. It's important to limit your taxes. Everybody does that. Everybody talks about it, right? And we have a lot of consumers who are CPAs who think they can do tax planning. The beautiful thing about the class is that we dig into, when we talk about tax planning, I mean, it's hard to do this on the radio, but in the class, we actually show you what are the things you should look for when you're building your retirement plan and you have you hiring somebody to do it for you. What do you look for in that advisor? So you when you go meet that advisor, you can grill them. You can ask the right questions to see, are they really doing tax planning or are they just talking about doing tax planning? The beauty of the class is it provides that information, not so you can become knowledgeable, but so you can filter out the right people to hire the right people.
There's 2 points I want to interject there on, Paul. One is I want to make sure I own a CPA firm. I employ many CPAs. we are not disparaging CPAs. They're incredibly valuable and important, and they know what they're doing. That's not my suggestion. My suggestion is I would actually encourage, if you're a CPA listening to our radio show, come to this course. You're going to learn a lot because it's about the distribution phase of your life on how and when to take different assets from different registrations, from different accounts, whether I take my lump sum versus my pension. It's a tax problem. That lump sum versus pension is a tax problem over a 25, 30 year. Go to our website. We do a sample retirement plan webinar. It's 40 minutes, and it'll show you how that person in that plan saved $600,000 in taxes over their lifetime. So what we're saying to you is we're not trying to disparage anyone or criticize anyone. What we're telling you is there's very few advisors in the country doing this, and you need to know, are they just telling you they're doing something, or are they really doing something? So register for one of our 8-hour classes. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Classes are forming now. Go to retirementplanningedu.org to register. Again, that's retirementplanningedu.org. Use the promo code PODCAST to receive 50% off your tuition. And now, back to the show.
Another very important topic as it relates to retirement planning is investment risk, and there's no shortage of information being thrown our way on this very topic. How do we judge what is information versus what is the knowledge we need?
So this is specific around, okay, I am now entering retirement or approaching retirement, in retirement, and how much risk should I take and what type of investment should I be using? And as we begin this segment, I want to give an example here. So two things. First of all, it's amazing. Since this show has started, we've had 10 registrations to upcoming classes, which so good. I'm glad people are hearing us, right? The importance of this course. Recently at a class, and this is common. We had someone who had both a CFP, Certified Financial Planner, and they were a CFA, Certified Financial Analyst. So two very difficult qualifications to have, certifications to have. They have written 5 books on investing, some on retirement, about how to manage money. Now, this person was in their they came to our class mid to late 60s, and they were looking for actually help. Because they had failed. They had $300,000 saved for retirement. They had made horrible decisions with their money. So my point is, just because someone's a CFP or a CFA, or especially if someone says, I've written a book or 5, I get on a weekly basis, Paul, I know you get this too, people who solicit us for $10,000, they will write our books. They will ghostwrite our books for us. We don't have to do anything. They'll ghostwrite the book for $10,000. Then we are an author. And if we want to be a best-selling author, all we have to do is spend $25,000 because they'll take $10,000 in the first week and buy up a bunch of those books so you can be on the best-selling author list for a week. Now you're a best-selling author. So guys, gals, this is the point. See, information. All of those people have information. They've written books, or someone wrote a book for them. They've got CFPs or CFAs behind their name. They've got information, but are they utilizing it? Are they really doing what they say they're doing? And do they really have the knowledge the practical experience knowledge to be executing what they claim to be doing when they meet with the consumer? And so we're trying, that's the purpose of the class, is to give you the filters, the knowledge, the leverage. Because great, the new catch thing is safe money strategies. So when you're in retirement, you should have safe money. Anytime you hear safe money, folks, on radio, TV, dinner seminars, invitations in the mail, if anything says safe money, run. They are insurance salesmen trying to sell you annuities. They aren't going to do real planning. They're not going to do real tax planning. They are insurance salesmen. Maybe they have a securities license, but 75, 80% of what they sell is going to be annuities. Run from safe money. Anyone that tries to sell you anything in terms of investments and tells you what risk tolerance or ask you what is your risk tolerance, Run. Your plan. You shouldn't buy anything. You shouldn't make any investment decisions. You can't determine your risk tolerance until someone builds you a comprehensive retirement plan, because your plan will dictate what you should own and how much risk you should take and what investments you should use and when. Paul, I went on a little tangent there, but the plan dictates that, and none of you have plans. None of you have a plan. A dial is not a plan. A probability of success is not a plan. That's why you got to come to the class so we can show you what a real plan is, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, this particular subject, investments, we could probably spend 5 segments just on this, because how many times have you sat with somebody who sat in a class who said that their advisor was a retirement expert, and you look at their allocation, you know they're retiring in a year, and you realize they don't have a clue. They don't know what they're doing, right? They're allocating the person's investments as if they were retiring 20 years from now. I mean, it's ridiculous. Everybody says they're a retirement expert, and that's the problem. So again, the class helps all of you differentiate.
Paul, here's the difference. In a retirement plan, you're going to have very aggressive money. You're going to have very, very conservative money. You probably should be laddering some treasuries for early income. You might have some insurance. You might have an annuity. The problem is 95% of you who buy annuities lose to the insurance company because someone sold you a product before they actually built you a plan. You can't buy a product, an insurance product, until you know exactly when you're going to use it and exactly how you're going to use it. That's the only way you know if you can beat the insurance company and get the best products. You never get the best products because no one's spending the 50 to 100 hours to build you the plan. These are the things you learn in the class. And what you're going to learn in the class is when you leave there, no one will ever sell you anything ever again until someone builds you a real 30-year retirement plan and you understand when it's going to be used in your plan. So your risk tolerance collaboration is silly. You don't know enough to collaborate with an advisor. All you should be collaborating is telling them what you want, when you want it, and how fast you want it. That's it. The rest, the plan will tell you how aggressive you are. You're going to have money. You need pivot accounts. Pivot accounts that have no risk. So if we have a major market event, you can pivot to take your income. Maybe that's what we talk about next segment, Paul, is income knowledge, the income planning piece of this where people mess up. So again, it's an 8-hour class taught over 2 evenings or 1 full Saturday. All we ask you to do is make a $29 donation to charity so the charity can continue to go for another 10 years. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That is retirementplanningedu.org. To find our latest white papers and webinars, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. And remember to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now back to the show.
Today's program, it is centered on knowledge. And there is a difference between information and knowledge. We know that knowledge is important and ignorance is not bliss when it comes to retirement planning. So what do you actually need to know? Well, Kirk and Paul, you say when it comes to retirement planning, understanding your income, how to protect it, what sources, when to draw from those sources, how long your income will last. Those are just some of the questions that you get about retirement income planning. But I think the bigger question is understanding, are you working with someone who can adequately answer those questions and solve those problems, right?
Yeah, I think it's whether you're doing this yourself, you're working with a team, there's a lot of bad information out there. This is one area where the information is pretty consistent. It's wrong, and we'll tell you why it's wrong. I mean, they have convinced you. Have you noticed, by the way, that all the information you get about retirement is centered around fear? Worry about inflation in retirement. Worry about outliving your money in retirement. Worry about everything's a worry, right? Protect your principal at all costs. You need to protect your principal. So when you think about the information related to income, I would encourage you to go back to understanding why, for all of these decades now, they came up with a simple, what we call the 4% rule, where they say you can take out 4% of your money once you turn 65 years old, and you only have about a 10, 15% chance of outliving your money. And so that is, everyone gets that playbook. That's the general consensus today. It's because the less you spend, the more they make. So the more fear they create in you that you're going to outlive your money. Now that's your number one fear. That means you'll spend less. They'll tell you to protect your principal. That means you're going to spend less. That means the industry, whoever's helping you, whoever's taking care of your money is making more money. The less you spend, the more they make. Please hear us. In the class, the knowledge that we will provide you will help you to find teams that really do proper income planning. And proper income planning includes knowing where to take your income from and when to take Social Security, when to take pension versus lump sum, when to take monies out of your IRAs versus your non-IRAs. There is no one size fits all. There's no conventional wisdom, even though that's the information that they will share with you. There's actually customization required for every one of you. And the class is going to teach you how to find the teams that actually utilize the right types of strategies so you can have withdrawal rates. Ready? You can withdraw 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9% per year to live on. I'm not saying that's what you're going to earn in your investments. That's irrelevant. What I'm saying is the amount you can withdraw, that you can be assured that you will never, ever outlive your income. You'll never outlive your income if you find the right team to do this. And that's the knowledge we're going to give you, is the knowledge to find the right team so that you can have 6, 7, 8% withdrawal rates. That means you can retire 5 to 7 years earlier. That means you can have a controlled spend down of your principal and not worry about outliving your income if you find the right teams that have the right knowledge. But you have to have that knowledge. Right now, all you have is information, and it's bad information. Every one of you are wrong. Every calculator on your 401ks is wrong. You're going to way underspend what you otherwise could be spending. And the older you get, the more scared you're going to get. And the more scared you get, the less you're going to spend. You need the knowledge so you don't shut down, so you aren't fearful, that you can spend, that you don't care who's being elected to impact your spending, or if we're in the middle of a recession, you don't change your spending patterns. We'll give you the knowledge to find the people that have the knowledge to execute the right types of planning. Paul, help me. Boy, I'm pretty ramped up.
Help me. I mean, I think this is one subject where I think what makes it's maybe the most important subject for people, right, in retirement is income. And it's probably the most difficult topic in retirement planning for advisors to execute, because it's the most time consuming. Really, to do a good income plan takes a lot more time than figure out investments or other things that may be important. So I think this is the one subject where it really differentiates advisors who know what they're doing and advisors who don't. And I think this is in the class where people really will learn what to look for in a plan when it comes to income planning. Because as you said, it's the key to your plan, right? You know, income is what you need in the future. And depending on how well that plan is developed for you, you're either going to really enjoy your retirement or you're not really going to enjoy your retirement. And the difference between a good plan and a bad plan really gets down to enjoying your retirement or not. It's that simple. And I think the class does a great job of helping people understand what to look for to really see that right income plan. Because it isn't a 4% rule. It isn't a Monte Carlo simulation. It isn't a bunch of investments. It is a year after year after year after year throughout the rest of your life. Where and how are you taking your income? That's very time consuming, and we'll help you figure out where to find that.
Right, Paul. Pivot accounts, when we have major market events, you cannot withdraw your money from your aggressive or your accounts that are exposed to market risk. If the market's down, you have to have a pivot account to pull money from. And you can't rebalance your portfolios until the markets recover, or you're going to have a sequence of returns issue. That's why no one wants to manage this. No one wants to build this and execute this for you. That's what we're going to teach you so you can find the teams that will execute this kind of planning. Because if you can have pivot accounts and someone that will execute, instead of trying to market time your investments, they have to market time your income, where you take it from. That's all. They're just going to pivot to a different account to pull the same amount of income you were spending before, even if we're in the middle of a recession or the lost decade. As long as you have a plan that anticipates those and have pivot accounts, because we're going to have 4 to 6, maybe 3 to 6 major market events over a 30-year retirement. Don't shut down. Don't change your spending patterns. That's what they want you to do. We'll give you the knowledge in the class. That's the purpose of the charity, to give you the knowledge, to find the right teams and have the information, to filter all this information you guys are consuming. Go to retirementplanningedu.org to just check out some of the white papers and the webinars, or to register for a class. All we ask is a $29 donation to the charity. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. Thanks for listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Be sure to follow or subscribe when listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now, back to the show.
Knowledge versus information, Kirk and Paul. When it comes to planning, boy, this is one you're going to have to help us kind of cut through all the noise. Tell us how we get some good guidance here.
Everyone does a plan, Megan. The information out there, I'm betting most every radio station you all are listening on right now, or go listen to some podcasts on retirement planning, you're going to have someone that's going to offer you the free roadmap to retirement or the income tent. And they come up with these really catchy, goofy things that all it really is, folks. Ready? This is what it is. It's a software. Typically, now there's a number of them out there, but typically eMoney, Money Guide Pro, Right Capital, some of the bigger firms have white labeled. So they've taken that technology and put their own names on them. And it all is producing the same outcomes. It's saying to you, you can have about 4% withdrawal rate. So there's going to be a spreadsheet showing you take out 4% a year. It's going to have a lot of different graphs and charts with a probability of whether you outlive your money if you take this much, the probability if you outlive your money if you take that much. Some of them might even give you taxes for the next few years. Look, the class will give you the knowledge, ready, to know, are you getting a retirement plan that some intern or assistant punched in your data and it took them 30 minutes to produce? Or was it a the knowledge you will get is this a customized plan that shows me taking income from different accounts, many different sub-accounts within those accounts, so that I'm taking income depending on market conditions from those different accounts to eliminate something called sequence of returns risk. That's the number one risk to your retirement. You can learn about it at the class. But it's mapping out your income for 30 years and showing you pivot accounts. So income is going to go up, down from different registrations, different accounts. That's one way you'll know is, are they doing tax planning where they're taking more from an IRA one year, more from a non-IRA another year? Are they doing a little Roth converting here? Are they starting Social Security at a random age because they've done a tax analysis over a 20, 30-year retirement to figure out the most efficient way to take your Social Security? So you will walk away after 8 hours of a class to have the knowledge to know, is that person that you're thinking about hiring really providing you a retirement income plan? Or are they just giving you a cookie cutter 4% rule plan that everyone has that will force you to work longer? It'll force you to spend less money. It'll force you to have more fear and anxiety as you get older. It'll force you to pay more taxes because it isn't a real plan. It wasn't built for you. It wasn't individualized. An individualized retirement plan has to take somebody 50 plus hours if you've got $1 million to $20 million. If you've got $200,000 like the average baby boomer, eMoney's great. You can only afford to take 4% a year. But if you've got a $700 to $20 million, you can afford to take 6, 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates if someone builds you an individualized, customized plan. We will teach you what that looks like so you have the knowledge to filter out real and wrong planning. Sorry, go Paul.
Well, I think this is such an interesting subject because I think of all the people we have met in the class. I think what makes this subject, the topic about planning so difficult for consumers, is that what they often are receiving from their advisors look really beautiful, right? I mean, I think people assume that the more pages you get, the better the plan is. So, people are getting these 30-page documents. They're computer generated. They're beautiful. They're color coordinated, right? They have these dials and percentages. I will say this. If you're listening to this show and you think you have a plan, go home, pull it out. If it's computer generated, it's not really a plan. It's not custom, right? It's a software program. If there's a probability of success, if there's a dial, a percentage of success, that's not a plan. That's a computer-generated software program. So if it's, 30 pages and you really don't understand 99% of it, it's useless. It's useless. Come to the class. One of the nice things about the class, Kirk, is in the beginning of the class and at the end of the class, we show people what a plan should look like, what a real plan looks like, and then we teach them for 9 hours what's within that plan, and then you show them the plan at the end, and people have a better understanding at that point. Once you see that plan, you'll know what to look for.
Now,
most of you just don't have it.
They don't have it, Paul. Everyone doesn't have that. And don't scare them too much. Hopefully 8 hours. Sometimes we run long. I know this past Saturday, we were 9 hours. Okay, we had a lot of questions.
8 hours?
We'll stick around as long as you guys want, because once we start showing the plan again, we start getting more questions. But the class is so comprehensive. It is for that $1 to $20 million family. Everyone that doesn't think they should be attending because they already have it. They don't. You don't have it. This is going to give you the knowledge to make sure you know how to find the right teams to help you. All right. Register at, first, all you have to do is make a $29 donation to charity. Register at retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Retirement Education Foundation is a fiscally sponsored program of United Charitable, a registered 501c3 public charity. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any insurance discussed in this show is backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Retirement Education Foundation is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Retirement Education Foundation. This radio show is paid for by the Retirement Education Foundation.